Hi nerds. I've just come back from Sardinia for a week, and if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or anything, you'll know that I had a little tiny camera related faux pas while I was over there. My idea was to take my GH5 as my main camera and to take my GH2 for a little bit of an experimental camera, just so I could take it out for a couple of days and have some fun and do a review on it. However, I packed completely the wrong charger. They do look quite similar in my defence. And so I ended up with just 2 batteries for my GH5 and infinite batteries for my GH2. So quite accidentally, my GH2 became my camera of the week. And this is knocking on 9 years old, is it now? I think so. So, you know, it's hardly got its finger on the pulse of modern technology. But it's a Micro Four Thirds sensor, albeit an older one. You still have full manual control over everything. It was the GH5 of its day. You know, it's a flagship camera from Panasonic, it's just a little bit older. I was a little bit concerned because I really wanted to get some good photographs, and I was concerned primarily about low light because the older Micro Four Thirds sensors, a little bit sketchy in low light. So in good light, I'm very happy to report I think it did brilliantly. And there was one evening that really put it to the test. We were up on a top of a hilltop thing, having a meal, watching the sunset, and I took pictures from sunset all the way to nighttime. And the little GH2 did really blooming well. I'm very, very happy. I tried to do some star trails and things, and it just went disastrously. But there may have been an element of alcohol involved, and also the light pollution was terrible, so I don't think any of my other cameras would have done very good in this circumstance. But in terms of the low light photo and video performance, I think it did lovely. Particularly the video, I think, is really atmospheric and captures the colours very well. Let me check how much I bought this for. So eBay tells me I got this for £180. However, I got it with 2 Canon FD lenses, the 28mm and the 50mm, and the manual adapters and extra batteries which also fit my G7. So I think it was actually the bargain of the year. If you take out the value of the lenses, I reckon I got this for about £100 or less. So, is the GH2 still viable as a camera and as a creation tool in 2017 and beyond? Yes and no. You might be surprised to hear that I use this during videography when I do weddings. I only ever use it as like my 4th camera, as a backup. I'd never use it properly. But a lot of that footage sometimes ends up in my final work as, you know, alongside the other cameras that we use along the day. And it grades just as well as all the others. You know, you can't point it out in a lineup and say which is which. So I think it's great. I always keep it in my bag body only as sort of a backup because I have a little bit of a redundancy kick. So it's always good to have, particularly for the price of it. If you can pick one of these up very cheaply, you know, it's great to have a backup if you've already invested in the Micro Four Thirds system. The downsides of it are it's not stabilised, and even with the stabilised lens, the video footage is often quite shaky, so I do tend to only use this on a tripod. And I have hacked this. You can check on YouTube if you want to know more about that. I've put sort of custom firmware on it to make the video output to be more higher quality and a higher bitrate than the GH2 usually allows. And maybe that's why it's performing so well. Who knows? For stills and photography, it's very lightweight, very robust, even has a built-in flash, which I have missed on my GH5. Not that I use it very often, but it's good to have when you're out and about. It has a separate SD card door, which I love. You don't have to faff at the bottom of the camera like you do with the G7. It still has a flippy out screen, and you'd be surprised at how many of the features on the other Panasonic cameras were still available 9 years ago. The menus are still fantastic to navigate. You still have your electronic viewfinder. You still have all your different, you know, like the quick dial on the GH5 that I love, and on the G7 that I love, and loads of other Panasonic cameras. You still have this on the GH2, but it's sort of at the top. So the layout, you can really see how it's progressed over the years and how it's improved, but all the basic elements were here a long time ago. And I found that very, very interesting, because I also own a very, very old Olympus pen E-PL1, and this really has shown its age. The menus are dated and the quality of it isn't very good at all. Incidentally, I only bought it to get 2 lenses like I did with the GH2. I didn't seek it out, it just kind of... Sometimes, bargain tip, if you are looking for vintage lenses or kit lenses, you know, the lenses don't change as often as the bodies. You can often find them on older bodies for cheaper than new on their own. I also did that with this lens, which is my 12 to 35 2.8 Pro stock, which I use for everything. I don't know if I've told you the story about how I found this. I found this lens in a cabinet in John Lewis in the UK on a GH3 body for £400. So I bought both, literally almost ran out of the shop, I was so excited, and then sold the GH3 body for £400. So I essentially got this stock lens, which retails at like £800 or more, for free. Kind of regret selling the GH3 now that I know how good the GH2 is. I didn't even use it, I didn't want to tempt myself and use it because I knew I'd end up keeping it, so I literally kept it in the box and sold it off straight away. But now I kind of half regret that, because I was a bit of a snob back at the time. I was like, oh, nothing more than a GH4 for me. But yeah, I bet that would have been a great camera. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, I apologise. So with the photos from the GH2, you can see that some of them are very good out of the camera, some of them need a little bit more pushing and pulling, and you don't get as much pushing and pulling dynamic range as you do on the later cameras before the image starts to fall apart, but I got what I wanted from it. I don't think I've got worse photographs because I accidentally packed the wrong charger. I do think the photographs on my GH5 have come out a little bit better because, you know, you would hope that it would. It's like £100 9-year-old camera versus the top of the range Micro Four Thirds camera at the moment, so you would hope there would be a slight difference, but it's not quite as much as you'd think. So if you like the photographs from this trip, please have a look at the video. It has footage from the GH2, mostly from my Mavic Pro because I'm slightly obsessed at the moment, a little bit from my GH5 and a little bit from my iPhone as well, and it's just sort of a little travel video overview of everything that I did. I'll link that below. And thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed. I'm really enjoying running this channel, and if you have any ideas on future videos or anything you'd like me to cover, I have lots of ideas in the works, but I'm always open to suggestions, so thank you very much for watching.